Alright, Bart with Bicycle Rider YouTube, and I might be looking a little windblown because of this dang Niner right here. This is the Niner RLT RDO. It's basically Niner's e-bike, gravel bike, adventure bike. And Gary and I just got done playing around with this bike out on the street, and it was an absolute blast. This thing hits 28 miles an hour very quick. It feels very agile, and I think it put both a smile on I know it put a smile on my face, and I got a little B-roll of Gary when he came back, and he was pretty hopped up too. I asked him his first impressions, and he said this thing's fast. So yes, it is fast. It has the Bosch Performance Speed Line motor, which is a 250 watt motor, and the battery they have in this is a 500 watt amp hour battery, and we haven't had a chance to play with this bike much, so I don't quite know what the range is in real life. They're saying around 30 something miles or 50 kilometers. Basically the bike weighs about 40 pounds. We're going to be putting it on a scale. So those are just some quick touch points about it. But what I see in this bike is a whole lot of fun, is a whole lot of usability, and just a very rock solid e-bike that is capable of many things. And I do like the stylings of it. Of course, Niner is coming out of Fort Collins, Colorado. I grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado, so I'm a fan of these guys. But they make awesome bikes, and I know growing up in Fort Collins, Colorado, that was a riding town. So now I look at some of the pictures of the Niner factory and where these guys rode, and that's where I grew up, riding bikes, cutting my teeth on bikes. So it's great to see Niner, some local boys really putting a high quality product together like this. And this bike really can let people ride in multiple situations. I think they call this a Chameleon. And that is just because if you wanted to go ride with your local road bike group, you don't have to change a thing. I mean, it's coming with some 50 millimeter tires. A lot of times when I sell a bike with tires this wide, or even close to this wide, people ask me if that's going to slow me down. In all actuality, you have to say yes. Compared to a 28 millimeter road bike tire, a 50 millimeter tire, theoretically can slow you down, a little bit more weight and rubber. But when you are mounting that to an e-assisted bike like this, this thing's not slowing you down. It's just adding comfort. It's adding usability. Like I said, we can hit 28 mile an hour on this bike. I'm 150 pounds, and Gary weighs a little bit more than me. But neither of us had any trouble, hitting 28 miles an hour. I'm a lifetime cyclist. I've spent my whole life to go 20 plus miles an hour on a bike. 28 is dang fast on a bicycle. This bike will let anybody do 28 miles an hour. It's pretty friggin' awesome. And just the styling characteristics of this bike, you do have drop seat stays. You've got an integrated battery. You've got an awesome carbon fiber fork. And anybody that knows Niner knows they make a race level carbon fiber stout machines. I was looking at the specs on this bike, and I'm not going into every detail of the specs of this bike. It's more about how a bike rides and feels. But if you did want a front suspension on this bike, it is the same length as the Fox suspension. So you can put a Fox suspension fork on the front. But I'm thinking with 50 millimeter tires, unless you're doing a lot of serious off-roading, this bike, you can air down these tires and really make it comfortable. And I was talking about the usability of this bike. This bike, like I said, if you wanted to go out with your local group ride, you're not going to have to worry about getting dropped on this bike. It's not like a flat bar bike, so you are, on a drop bar bike, so you can have the same handling characteristics of the guys out there on a road bike. But if you did want to take this on the gravel roads, I can imagine that this is very at home adventuring on any dirt or gravel road, out there. Just exploring through town, it looks like this bike is set up for several different type of mounting points for racks and bags and stuff like that. So this could make an awesome commuter too. And I think there's a safety factor in being able to get up to speed quickly, especially in traffic. And a bike that hit speeds this quick, really, one way it could be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But if you know what you're doing, you need to get up to speed. You need to get in and out of traffic. Being able to hit 28 mile an hour fairly quickly, I think, is a big plus. And, you know, of course, you know, Niner has equipped this bike with a really nice gear set. 1142, I think on the front is a 42 chain ring. But basically, it's got a GRX drivetrain on it. So it's a GRX 600. It does have a clutch derailleur. It's shifted gears very good. I think it's a pretty robust gear system, so it's not one of those that hasn't been tried and true. This thing has been, you know, put through a lot of gravel races on a lot of different bikes. So I think it's got a good history. I do like the way GRX shifts. And the braking on this, so let me turn this around. It's got two 180 rotors. So we've got a 180 millimeter rotor on the front, 180 on the back, and GRX style. So they do stop very quickly. Another couple cool things about this bike, really, you know, it's the paint job. This is some kind of, you know, green that this looks freaking awesome. A little topo map up on the front, and I like to think that's Horsetooth Reservoir, where I grew up. It looks awesome. It does have this cap here that you can take your favorite beer bottle cap and throw it on there and give it a little custom touch. So just all in all, I think the stylings of this bike are awesome. Obviously the bike ride's good. It definitely put a smile on my face, and it put a smile on Gary's face. The integrated battery, 50 millimeter, you know, wheels, and just an overall awesome bike. So, you know, I'm not sure how long we're going to have this bike here in Biloxi. We are, you know, thankfully, well, Biloxi Bicycle Works is helping us out with a spot to film this tonight. But I have a feeling this bike's not going to stick around too long. And it's almost too bad, because Gary has a specialized Turbo Creo that we'd like to, you know, compare these two bikes. So anyway, the Bosch motor is tried and true. All in all, it seems like a solid bike. And while we have it around the shop, we'll try to put it to the test a little bit for you. But we wanted to show you guys this new bike and let you know, as bicycle riders, people who ride bikes, this bike feels absolutely awesome. You know, here on the Bicycle Rider, we're going to always throw this on a scale for you. And if you do like our content, we just ask you if you please, you know, hit subscribe, and that helps us rank with YouTube. So I'm going to try to pick this up. And of course, I'm not a bicycle scale, but you know, it's advertised as 40 pounds and it's coming right in. I'm seeing 39 pounds here. So, you know, it's a little bit heavier than the specialized Creo, but it's, I think Gary said it's a little bit more spunky. And of course, this is just initial opinions. So I think I liked it. Gary, did you like it?
That was great.
All right. Niner, you did a great job. Contact us here at Biloxi Bicycle Works if anybody has any questions, or you guys at Niner, man. If you remember me from Fort Collins, I own a bike shop now, Biloxi Bicycle Works. Over and out from the Bicycle Rider on the Niner RLT E RDO.